What's going on, everybody? I've had some people come up to me at my shows and they say, "Oh man, I love your sound, but I don't see any amps on stage. Where does guitar get plugged into?" Tell you the truth, this is 2023. I mean, yeah, sure, amps are cool and all, and I still love amps, but do I want to carry them to every show? Especially if you're playing more than 1 or 2 shows a month. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot, but, being a little bit older now, I'm getting up there in age. I'm not the spring chicken I was back in the 90s. People have come up to me and complimented me on my sound and everything, and they said, I love your tone, I love the fullness of your distortion and everything, and the way it all comes out through the PA monitors and all that. So the way I have my stage set up, you obviously don't see any amps because I don't bring any. So I'm going to show you what they call an ampless rig. I'm not the first person to do stuff like this because this is pretty common lately. Especially a lot of touring guitar players and some well-known ones too don't use physical amps on stage anymore, or they don't even tour with amps because they need something a lot more reliable. Tube amps are great, but they can tend to get a little bit finicky, sometimes risky to have. If the tube breaks, you better have some spares to replace it. People like Nita Strauss. Okay, Nita Strauss, unless she's touring with Alice Cooper, she's only using her Boss GT1000 to run in front of house because it has XLR out, so it just runs a direct line and everything just goes right in. It's
been my go-to. If you guys have ever seen videos of me playing the national anthem, playing at WrestleMania, playing America the Beautiful at the LA Rams football game, like anything big that I do like that is this little baby direct into the board. We don't have the budget for, carting out cabs and heads and all that stuff. So actually, everything that you guys are seeing and hearing on my solo tour is all direct. If you take a look around the stage, feel free to bring the cameras around later after we're done. There is not a single cab on stage. Everything is direct. We've got fractals across the front and then my GT1000.
Chris Broderick, he's another one. If you don't know who Chris Broderick is, he used to play with Megadeth back in the day. Now he's in a band called In Flames. Check him out. Really, really killer guitar player. But all he uses is a fractal, his Axe effects.
If I had the choice and there were never any budget issues or anything like that, I'd probably bring some amps. But the thing is with tubes, they're so finicky that I want to know that my gear is going to work, and it's always there for me.
Because he knows it's reliable, he knows it's always going to work, and it's easy to transport.
It's more convenient, it's lightweight, it travels well, it's so consistent.
When I first started playing with the band that I'm playing in now, I found out they don't use amps. I'm like, oh man, okay, so I have to do a little bit of reconfiguration with my pedalboard and see what I can use to accommodate their setup and what they do. And then I started learning about IRs and cab rigs and really diving in to see how well it applies with live sound. And that's when I realized this is what people like Nita Strauss is doing, what Chris Broderick's doing. They're running cab IRs straight to the PA. That's why they still get their full sound. They're just as if they were plugging into a half stack that's set up behind them. I'm going to just take you through my setup. This is one option of how you do it. There are several other ways you can set up ampless rigs. Several different manufacturers, especially pedal and amp manufacturers, are developing these products now. You're seeing a lot of guitar players that are going and doing shows without having to bring heads and cabs with them. So you can see behind me, this is my half stack. Actually, it's my quarter stack because I only am running a 2x12 cab with a Marshall MG 100 HD FX head unit. If you notice, it pretty much just stays in that corner. It doesn't really move. Now that's the cabinet I used to take to shows back in the day, and I would use that a lot. That cabinet has seen so many different stages. And then the Marshall head unit, believe it or not, I've never used it in a live show. I bought it used, but so maybe the person before me who had it has played with it live. And when I bought it, it was in perfect working condition, but I never really used it live. So when I joined this band, the first thing they told me was, okay, they're not using amps, but they're using IEMs, which stands for in-ear monitors. I'm like, oh wow, so now I gotta invest in some in-ear monitors, which when I did get my first pair of in-ear monitors, it was, I will admit, it was kind of a learning curve, because I'm so used to having floor monitors, you know, wedges on the stage, just shooting the sound right at me. Having them in your ears almost felt like I was in the studio. I got used to them, and to be honest, I really don't mind them. Let me take you through my pedal board, the actual amp that I use, and how it all gets hooked up for live sound. So this is my pedal board. It's been through a lot of changes, but I finally set it up the way I know is always going to give me sound that I'm going to be happy with. So the main component you can see here is my Boss ME80. I've had so many different pedals that I've used left and right, and tried to get one specifically for reverb, and then one for delay, and then finding one that does reverb and delay, and then finding a chorus pedal, and so on and so on. And then, God, I can't begin to tell you how many distortion and overdrive pedals I've been through. But I figured the Boss ME80 pretty much supplies all that for me. It was just easier to configure, and it sounds great. I use some stomp pedals that I've kept, like my noise suppressor. It doesn't really do much of a job for me, because ME80 does come with a noise gate, so I use it more or less as a mute switch. Got my EVH Phase 90. Now the ME80 does have a phase effect. If I were playing songs like Ain't Talk About Love, if I wanted to bust out with the Eruption solo, I could just turn on the phase effect on that unit. But being a Van Halen fan, especially a big fan of Eddie's playing, you know, that's just one pedal I couldn't get rid of, you know, because I love the sound of his Phase 90, and not to mention the EVH stripes on that pedal. Then of course I got my tuner, and then a drop pedal. The band I play in all tunes a whole step down, where I keep my guitars tuned in standard. Why don't I just tune a whole step down? Because sometimes I like to use my guitar in standard with other things too, in addition to this band. So simple solution, just have a drop pedal, drop it down a whole step. So as far as my amp goes, this is the unit I'm using. This is the Department 10 Amp 1 by Blackstar. So what it actually is, it's basically a pedal, but with amp components in it. In the back you have your effects loop, you got your speaker out, so if you want to hook it to a cabinet, and you have your guitar in and you're out. If you look on the side of the unit, it has an XLR DI out, and through that output sends all the cab rig and IR signals, which goes directly into, this is a PA similar to what we use at our live shows. It just goes to one of the mic channels right into the powered speakers. That's really what I bring to gigs. Got my guitar, got the pedal board, and I have my amp cab rig IR setup. There are different platforms of IR pedals you can use. Blackstar was just one of them. I just happened to like it. You know, I actually customized the cab rig tones to my liking through the software that it has. You can set your cabinet, you can set your microphone, the angle of your microphone, the distance of how far your microphone position, also, and then of course the EQ. That way, if I'm plugging to any PA at any venue, if there's like an in-house install, you know, I know that the tone will pretty much stay consistent. This is the tone that I get. Even the cleans come out as nice. There's a lot of purists out there. There's a lot of elitists who think that tube heads are the only way to go. No one is really going to know the difference out there. At the end of the day, your audience is not going to care what you have on stage. They're not going to see what kind of guitar you have. They're not going to inspect your gear. It's like, oh, why aren't you using Marshalls up there? Why aren't you not playing ESPs? Why are those pickups not active or whatever? They don't care. All they really care about is they want to hear the songs you're playing. They want to enjoy themselves. They want to be able to just hang out, enjoy live music. And of course, the venue doesn't care. The venue doesn't care what you're using, as long as you're keeping the people there and you're making the bar money. So that's my rig. There's several different ones you can look into. If you do some research, you can find other good cab rig IR platforms like Two Notes. Two Notes has some great units out there. Strymon Iridium. Strymon Iridium is pretty much more of a simplistic pedal cab IR unit. It doesn't have as much as the Black Star, I think, in my opinion. It's nice to have another option, have another backup, because you need backup, especially when you're playing live, because if something goes, I'm looking to get another multi-effects unit, maybe not the same one, but something that will do just the same, except I want to get a little bit smaller, especially for playing places with tighter spaces. I always bring a second guitar, so I bring my Gem with me, in addition to my Dean, and of course my in-ear monitor headphones. I always have a second pair on standby in case this one goes. I always come equipped with chargers so I can charge anything I have wirelessly. And that's really what's more important. As long as that piece of gear that you're bringing will make you happy with the tone, will make the crowd happy with the music you're playing, and will, most importantly, be reliable and work for you. Not to mention make your life a lot easier, then go for it. Well, that's my little rig rundown, everyone. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it gave you a better insight on my rig and the way I have it set up. I'll be making more videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.